Hi, welcome to the Darwin Blinks channel here on YouTube, and these are my 11 top Rush lyrics. I know most lists do top 10s, but 11's my lucky number. Plus, with Rush, there's so many great songs and so many great lyrics, we frankly could have done a top 100, but I've narrowed it down to the top 11. Now again, these aren't necessarily the best Rush songs. It's not going to have 2112 or Hemispheres or Cygnus X1. These are the best Neil Peart lyrics for Rush. So keep that in mind. Of course, there'll be nothing from the first album because he wasn't on that album and didn't write lyrics. So, like for Working Man, for example. So let's begin. And this is going to be done chronologically as far as the album order, not 1 to 11, best to worst. It's just the 11 best lyrics, but done chronologically from the first time they appeared on an album all the way to the end, and we'll see where that winds up. Okay, so our first lyric is going to be from Beneath, Between, Behind from the Fly By Night album. Now this song might be a little controversial because of some of the Manifest Destiny kind of lyrics, but they are great lyrics, and even as recently as the Exit Stage Left album, Rush was still doing this song live, so they did think enough of it to include it on that album. To me, the best lyrics are the great chorus, but also the final verse, which is done at like a different tempo than the other verses. The guns replace the plow, facades are tarnished now, the principles have been betrayed. The dream's gone stale, but still let's hope prevail, history's debt won't be repaid. And then the great chorus of beneath the noble bird, between the proudest words, behind the beauty, cracks appear. Once with heads held high, they sang out to the sky, why do their shadows bow in fear? That's Neil's tribute to America. And as we'll find out later in this segment, there's going to be another country his lyrics will pay tribute to. But that's Neil's Ode to America. All right, our second best Neil Peart lyrics of all time is from the 2112 album, but it's not 2112. It's A Passage to Bangkok, which is one of the great cannabis weed songs of all time. As a teenager, when I first heard this song and got into it, I always wanted to go on this trip sometime in my life. Maybe I still will, although back then it was a different world. But just a great song about going to different countries and trying the different strains of pot in all those countries. My favorite lyric would probably be from that: wreathed in smoke in Lebanon, we burn the midnight oil, the fragrance of Afghanistan rewards a long day's toil. It's just perfectly set and perfectly put, and again, it takes you on an adventure that you want to go on. One of the great all-time marijuana rock songs right there. All right, now we go into the more mature, refined lyrics of Neil Peart, and we begin that with the Permanent Waves album and the song Free Will, one of Neil's great statements of individualism. And already I've seen people quoting lyrics from this song and the tributes to Neil on YouTube. There's so many great lyrics, but the one that everyone's been quoting: each of us a cell of awareness, imperfect and incomplete, genetic blends with uncertain ends, on a fortune hunt that's far too fleet. Obviously those words have even more poignancy now that Neil's gone. But really all the lyrics are such a statement of individuality and not letting external forces like mysticism and people's prejudices influence your destiny. So Free Will is going to be one of the all-time great Rush lyrics. From that same album, as I said, we were now getting into Neil's kind of peak lyricism around this time. We also have the song Natural Science, another song that people have been quoting. Neil's passing. Science, like nature, must also be tamed with a view towards its preservation. Given the same state of integrity, it will surely serve us well. Art as expression, not as market campaigns, will still capture our imaginations. Given the same state of integrity, it will surely help us along. The most endangered species, the honest man, will still survive annihilation. So again, great. Now these are lyrics that touch on the individual, but also on the world as a whole. My absolute favorite lyric from that is "Computerized clinic for superior cynics who dance to a synthetic band. In their own image, their world is fashioned. No wonder they don't understand." That's so. Even though you have the statement of individuality, you also have Peart taking a biting criticism at the current culture then that was moving away from organic rock, if you will, into the more synth, artificial qualities of new wave, which ironically Rush would embrace in future albums. But still, Neil's lyrics and his warning of where music and art was going is valid. So, great lyric. Okay, now we're going to move to the Moving Pictures album. If I had to pick one album that's their best for pure lyrics, it would be the Moving Pictures album. That's was Neil's favorite album. And just from start to finish, pretty much perfect lyrics. Now, the reason I didn't include Tom Sawyer is because he co-wrote those lyrics with Pi Dubois, and also the reason I didn't include Red Barchetta, even though the way it is like a poem and there's no chorus, I find it to be one of the most uniquely special Rush songs ever, but because that was based on a story that I also felt like it wasn't like an original set of lyrics like some of the others on this list. So for Moving Pictures, we have two sets of lyrics, two songs. We have The Camera Eye, a underrated classic, just so many great lyrics. I feel the sense of possibilities. I feel the wrench of hard realities. The focus is sharp in the city. And then for the verses, that's the chorus, one of my favorite verses. Wide angle watcher on life's ancient tales, steeped in the history of London, green and gray washes in a wispy white veil, mist in the streets of Westminster. Wistful and weathered, the pride still prevails, alive in the streets of the city. Just great lyrics that take you to that place. Both this lyric about being London and then the other lyric about New York City. They take you to the place and it gets you emotionally like few Rush songs do. Also from Moving Pictures, have to include the final track, Vital Signs, which maybe wasn't one of the big hits off the album, but it's a song Rush constantly did throughout their touring days, so you know, their touring career, so you know it meant a lot to them, especially lyrically. To be honest, if I had to pick a best ever Rush lyric for one song, it would probably be Vital Signs. It's a statement on individuality, unlike any other they've made, and it's just poetically phrased so perfectly. Just the poetry on it. An ounce of perception, a pound of obscure, process information at half speed. Of course, the great lyric, leave out the fiction, the fact is this friction will only be worn by persistence. And then the great ending chorus that fades out, it perfectly caps Moving Pictures, the album. Everybody got mixed feelings about the function and the form. Everybody got to deviate from the norm. Peart had never been more explicit about individuality than in this song. Alright, moving on to the Signals album. And earlier there was Beneath, Between, Behind, which was a tribute to America. Here we have his tribute to Canada, The Analog Kid. In fact, in my opinion, The Analog Kid should replace O Canada as the Canadian national anthem. Just, that's how profound these lyrics are. You move me with your buildings in your eyes, autumn woods and winter skies. You move me, open sea and city lights, busy streets and dizzy heights. You call me. Just sums up Canada perfectly. And moving on, also, now we're going to the, no, there's only one set of lyrics off Signals, but we got two set of lyrics from the Grace Under Pressure album. And the first one's the more experimental Red Lenses, which is, like I said, probably Peart's most experimental set of lyrics are right up there. And I always love the reference to SCTV, which at the time me and my friends watched, and when I saw there was an SCTV reference in Rush lyrics, that just blew my mind. But I'm not just picking it for that. It's also because of the experimental nature of the song. But I do love we've got Mars on the horizon, says the National Midnight Star, the SCTV fake tabloid. What you believe is what you are, a pair of dancing shoes. The Soviets are the blues, the Reds under your bed. I also like that direct criticism of the Soviet Union in that lyric. That there's several songs in Grace Under Pressure that criticize the Soviet Union, including Red Sector A and Distant Early Warning, but this is the most blatant example of that. All right, and then also from the Grace Under Pressure album, we have the great Between the Wheels. This also would be right up there with Vital Signs for best lyrics ever, especially now in light of Neil's passing. You know how that rabbit feels going under your spinning wheels, bright images flashing by like windshields towards a fly, frozen in that fatal climb, but the wheels of time just pass you by. And the wheels of time have now passed Neil by, but he's left behind this song for us to all keep in our hearts and our minds. And just, it's another kind of American history song in a way, with the lyrics to Boom to Bust, From Dreams to a Bowl of Dust. It's universal, but it's also American. So again, great lyrics that have even more poignancy now. Alright, and now we're going to move on to the Power Windows album. And in my opinion, after this album, Neil's lyrics didn't have that same edge as much. There's going to be 2 more songs coming up after this one, but they didn't quite have that same edge. But now, with Grand Designs, he did nail it on the head one more time. And shapes and forms against the norms, against the run-of-the-mill, swimming against the stream, life in 2 dimensions is a mass production scheme. That was still of course there was a mass production reference in the Subdivisions song and Signals, which is also a great album, a great lyrical song. But Grand Designs really summed up both the opposition you face when you try to be an individual, as well as the glory and the satisfaction of following your own destiny and not going along with the mass production scheme. Okay, then the later lyric we're going to move on to is Ghost of a Chance from the Roll Your Bones album. The reason I picked this song, even though it's almost kind of like a light rock FM hit, is because of the blatant anti-Christian lyric, anti-mysticism lyrics of, I don't believe in the stars or the planets or angels watching from above, but I believe there's a ghost of a chance we can find someone to love. Now, this song got pretty decent airplay on FM radio back in the early 90s, excuse me, and for this to have that blatant a lyric about not believing in angels or stars and planets, which was all the rage then and even now, was a bold statement and really resonated with me. It's like, not my favorite song, but the lyrics were more powerful than the song. Definitely a case where the lyrics transcended the song. Even though Neil seemed to embrace the whole angels concept with the later albums, including the last album being Clockwork Angels, still, I feel this was his view on mysticism and Christianity and how people just blindly follow it instead of their own hearts. Alright, and that leads us to the last lyric on this list, the 11th and last lyric, which is from the final Rush album, Clockwork Angels. One thing I can say with this list, I kept going back and forth between songs to finally nail the definitive 11 list, and I almost went with The Garden, but then I listened to BU2B, Bring You to Believe, BU2B, and I realized that's the song that had to be on here for the final Rush great lyric. I was brought up to believe the universe has a plan. We are only human. It's not ours to understand. Again, Neil reconnecting with those themes of the earlier Rush days with individuality and fighting oppression and authoritarianism. So with BU2B, that was kind of Neil's last final statement on that subject, and I feel is the fitting end to this list. So those are the 11 great Neil Peart Rush lyrics. You can debate for yourself. But I think those stack up right there with any of them, and hope you enjoyed this.